Venus enters Aries on Tuesday, February 4th, and for the next month or so, the goddess of love will move very, very slowly, making it till approximately 10 degrees and stationing retrograde on March 1st. Venus is not very comfortable in Aries, but over the course of the next couple of months, she will encourage us to get comfortable with discomfort, connect with our independence, and make positive changes to our relationships. Let's take a closer look and break it down for all 12 signs. My name is Anastasia. I'm a traditional Western astrologer specializing in natal, relationship, and predictive readings. I work in whole sign house system. And if you like my work, please show your support by leaving me a like, a comment, subscribing, and pressing the notification bell. Watch more of my videos. There are 3 videos dedicated to 2025 horoscopes, breaking down love, career, and money. So check that out if you haven't yet. And if you want to say thank you, you can also buy me a tea, a coffee, a croissant. Anything like that is lovely. And if you're new to my channel, welcome. Thank you for joining. I hope you will subscribe and come back. So before we dive in, if you're looking for more guidance, you have questions that are related to your unique chart, you want me to analyze your strengths, weaknesses, your life purpose, you can book a natal chart reading or a year ahead solar return reading. Great to do that around your birthday. Or a relationship consultation. I can help you pick the date for your wedding or help you figure out which location suits you best and where you should move, amongst the other things. All of that is at anastasiadoesastrology.com. Additionally, on my website, you can find a variety of products I create. At the start of the year, I'd like to highlight my 2025 astrology planner. It has 223 pages filled with information about zodiac signs, houses, astrological tips and insights, lots of space to write your to-do lists, set your intentions, breakdowns of every new moon, full moon, and every month coming up. Definitely get one. The year just started, and so it's a good present for yourself. And on my website, you can find a variety of candles and oils I create. Venus is in her detriment in Aries, and she's going to stay in Aries for about 2 months, and she will go retrograde in March. So my choice for the next 2 months is the exalted Venus or Venus in Taurus. Exalted Venus captures Venus in the sign of Pisces. She's very romantic, very inspired, very conscious of love and relationships and understanding. So it could be a great choice for the more independent, in love with chase, kind of feisty Venus in Aries. If you want to mellow it out a little bit, it's really beautiful. It is green, which is the color of Venus, and it's decorated with aquamarine stones, which is the stone of Venus. And Venus in Taurus is Venus in the sign of rulership. She's very abundant, beautiful, sensual, and full of love. And so she can help you manifest joy and pleasure and beauty. Once again, create more inspiration, more ease in your relationships and in your life. And this candle is very beautiful pink. So highly, highly recommend both of these, especially if you're born with Venus retrograde or if you're born with Venus in Aries, Virgo, or Scorpio, signs of detriment and fall. Venus in the 6th, 12th, or 8th houses, Venus conjunct, square, or opposite Saturn. This is the choice. So Venus is in Aries from February 4th until March 27th. So about a month and 3 weeks, right? Or close to 2 months. And then she's retrograde. The retrograde begins on March 1st and lasts until April 12th, moving from about 10 degrees 50 minutes Aries into 24:37 Pisces. So the retrograde is especially important for you if you have planets between 21 degrees and 29 degrees mutable signs, which are Pisces, Virgo, Gemini, and Sagittarius, or if you have planets between 0 and 13, 14 degrees cardinal signs, Aries, Libra, Capricorn, or Cancer. Venus, the entire time, it is in Aries from February 4th until March 1st when she goes retrograde. She's in her shadow. So things that are happening while she's in Aries in February will be repeated or will need to be reviewed when she's retrograde. So keep that in mind, especially when it comes to starting new relationships, signing contracts, beginning any kinds of partnerships. So I've done videos on Venus and Aries before, but we will go through it again to sort of let you know a little bit about Venus and Aries. Useful to think of Venus, if you think of Venus, she's connected to love. She's connected to bringing us together with people we find attractive. She's connected to bringing our desires our way and helping us enjoy life moment to moment. When she's in her home signs of Taurus and Libra, she's free to do her own thing. She's very comfortable in Libra. Libras are social butterflies. They create harmony wherever they go, versus Taurians are more sort of like stable and sensual. They don't necessarily create beauty, but they attract beauty by just being themselves. Whenever Venus is in the sign other than Taurus or Libra, she has to behave by the rules of that sign, and oftentimes by the rules of the planet. So Venus in Aries behaves by the rules of Mars, and that's why she's in her detriment. She's not very happy when she has to be a bit more suspicious, a bit more competitive, a bit more like, potentially independent and brave. Like, it's not the most relaxing state for Venus. If you think of the opposite sign, when Venus is in Libra, she's just like, life is beautiful, let's all have fun, let's chit chat and charm each other, and everything is fun. Versus when Venus is in Aries, and if you're born with this Venus, a lot of times individual has to deal with more difficult manifestations connected to Venus. And sort of the most challenging way this shows up is, I'm sitting on a heating pad, so I'm just gonna adjust it because it's like seating in the car that has like heated seats. But sorry, I was like talking about something very serious and then I got distracted. Forgive my Gemini moon ADHD sometimes. But the more difficult manifestation of Venus in Aries is that women and even men with this placement sometimes have to deal with like issues around sexuality, right? There might be other people seeing them and trying to take advantage. There might be some kind of like even like violence or difficulty connected to love and sex. And so it's not that people born with this placement want to be more suspicious or more guarded or more sort of independent, is that they had to be, right? So Venus in Aries grows through challenges and she learns and she becomes this sort of Xena the warrior, this Amazonian sort of princess, right? And we will notice it. We're going to have this energy in the sky. It's going to affect us all, right? If it's your natal Venus, happy Venus return. You might feel quite comfortable with this energy. But we will notice it. We will notice that we'll become more independent. We'll notice that we'll become more decisive romantically. We see someone, we like them, we go for them. Creatively, we may notice that we sort of have more attraction to like masculine things and blades and maybe like action flicks and things like that. We might be more like, finding beauty in like war and fighting and dominance, assertiveness, things like that. On the positive, like I quite like the fact that Venus in Aries moves on pretty fast, right? So she could help us connect with our sort of self-worth and independence and not waste time thinking about people that have hurt us or upset us. So she's very, Aries is the first sign of the zodiac. Venus and Aries can be very sort of naive in some ways, like excited, right? And optimistic, potentially, sort of youthful, spontaneous, direct. So romantically, all of that will show up. But we do need to be careful with like martial issues, right? Conflict, sexual abuse, and choosing to chase for the sake of chasing, and choosing partners that give us a challenge that maybe are not so good for us. some people with this placement, you know, we have Marilyn Monroe, we have Rihanna, and we have Lady Gaga. And please share if you have this placement and how it affects you. And if you want to know more, you know, you can always watch my Venus videos or my other Venus and Aries videos. And just keep in mind that the fact that Venus will go retrograde, she will move from Aries into Pisces, may encourage us to rethink some of the reckless, rash choices we've made in February. So give a choice you're making an extra thought. Do not rush into making decisions, and keep in mind that the planet will then move from Aries into Pisces. So the answer may lie in more compassion and understanding, and maybe slow and more spiritual connection versus like going for people and projects and opportunities that are maybe like gratifying or sort of bring like quick gratification, but not like long-term gratification and satisfaction. So I'm curious to hear from you if you have this placement and happy Venus return. Before we break it down for the 12 signs, if you're curious for more guidance, book a reading at anastasiadoesastrology.com, and definitely pick up my Exalted Venus beautiful green candle that can help you navigate the more challenging Venus retrograde. We get Venus retrograde every 18 months or so. So it's not a very rare transit, but it is a pretty rare transit. So if you are an Aries rising, Venus is entering your first house and she boosts your charm. You become more appealing, more attractive in this kind of like devil-may-care, independent, powerful quality, whether you're a man or a woman. If you identify that way, it doesn't matter. You just naturally become more charming. Venus in the first house may encourage you to improve your look, to go color your hair. Maybe you're wearing more red, you're looking more bold, bright, and beautiful, you're getting more compliments. You're also more likely exploring your creative passions and maybe thinking about your brand, your image, your style. When Venus goes retrograde, she will move from your first into the 12th house between March 1st and April 12th, encouraging you to redo some of the work. So if you sort of have an idea around now what your brand will be, when Venus goes retrograde, might be the time when you're starting to question it and you have to rethink it and you have to go back. The same goes for your style. So maybe avoid major dramatic transformations. Don't cut all of your hair or get a face tattoo because things may need to be reviewed. For more guidance, book a reading at anastasiadoesastrology.com. We can analyze this and any other transits, look at your natal chart, or talk about your love life, your relationship. If you are a Taurus rising, Venus is entering your 12th house and she is going into your dark house. So on one hand, this could be the time when you're more inspired. You're working behind the scenes on some kind of creative project or a healing project, spiritual project. So all of that is pretty good. You're maybe getting away with your significant other. Venus in the 12th will enjoy sort of retreating and going adventuring in a faraway land with somebody you love. On the negative, Venus in the 12th, especially being in the sign of her detriment, may bring a little bit more drama into your love life. I would very much recommend my Venus and Taurus candle because you are a Taurus rising and this is a much healthier Venus. So watch out for instigating conflicts, for maybe jealousy, obsessive thoughts, choosing people that are not good for you, or creating a little bit of friction in your romantic life, romantic relationship. Venus will go retrograde between March 1st and April 12th, moving from your 12th into 11th houses. So creatively, if you started any projects, you may need to redo them. Romantic choices may need to be reconsidered, and you will have opportunities to release self-defeating tendencies and become more clear on which patterns of behavior serve you and which ones need to be left behind. For more guidance, visit anastasiadoesastrology.com and book your reading today. For the lovely Gemini rising, Venus is entering your 11th house, and this brings a lot of your attraction and affection to the realm of friends and friendships, and you may notice that you're craving the company of your friends. You're going to more parties, more get-togethers. You're maybe even starting to date someone you met at a friendly get-together or someone you met through a friend. This could be a very social, very potentially also even inspired time. It's a good time to do networking. It's a good time to go on social media. Of course, Venus is in her detriment in Aries, and that is worth considering. I would highly recommend my Exalted Venus for you guys because that's a healthy Venus, much, much stronger. So with her being in detriment, you may notice that, yes, you want to spend time with friends, but you're also feeling a little bit competitive, or your friends are feeling more competitive with you. Maybe there's a little bit more friction, a little bit more competition. And of course, healthy competition is beautiful and you should totally indulge in it, but watch out that you're not like being driven by like obsession or jealousy or more negative feelings. And if you do start a new relationship at this time, it's more likely to have that sense of like friendship and camaraderie. Venus will be retrograding from your 11th into 10th houses between March 1st and April 12th. And so maybe if you start an alliance with someone, it will be revoked or you will need to rethink it. Your friendships or your friends may go through a more difficult time that potentially tests your relationship or calls you to step up and help them. There may be also some revision of dreams and your social media, your public channels that you need to do because you are looking at your kind of goals and realizing that you moved a little bit too far in the wrong direction. For more guidance, visit anastasiadoesastrology.com. I'd be happy to analyze your natal chart, your year coming up, or talk about your relationship. If you are a Cancer rising, Venus is entering your 10th house, and for the next couple of months, she will be encouraging professional development. She will, she's direct in February, and you're very much maybe connecting with bosses, building professional relationships. You're wondering and you're deeply motivated to do work that is enjoyable. You're not just looking for a job, you're looking for a passion. You're looking for a career, and Venus in the 10th house is very much capable of directing you in the right way. She's in her detriment in Cancer, in Aries. You are a Cancer rising. So she's in her detriment here, and it might be worth noting that she can create a little bit of like friction and competition and maybe a little bit of drama in your professional relationships. She may encourage you to date someone at work, and then maybe that creates a sense of stress or a little bit of frustration. I really like Venus in the 10th and Venus in Aries in the 10th specifically for being an advocate for some kind of worthy cause, right? Venus in Aries in general is the biggest cheerleader, so you may feel like, you're speaking up about something, you're passionate about something. And then when Venus goes retrograde on March 1st and moves from your 10th into the 9th houses, you may need to rethink some of the professional action you took and connections you made in February, and maybe you need to you will have to renegotiate or redo some of the work that you've done. And the rethinking might involve some education adjustments where you need to go back to school or you need to pass some exam. There might be some legal matters, especially if your job requires you to travel a lot and Venus goes retrograde from the 10th into the 9th. You may need to reapply for some visas, refile some documents, and deal with lawyers maybe, or travel or foreign people. Highly recommend my Exalted Venus candle or Venus and Taurus. Both of these are really good for you and can help create more ease in relationships. For more guidance, book a reading at anastasiadoesastrology.com. We can talk about your natal, relationship, or predictive forecasts. If you are a Leo rising, Venus is entering your ninth house. And here she is very adventurous. She will encourage you to travel. She will encourage you to learn, to pick up a foreign language, to go on dates with your significant other or with your romantic partners that are fun and playful. Maybe you go hiking together, or you buy tickets, go to Paris for the weekend. It could be like really sort of fun. And she could encourage you to date someone foreign, or date someone of a different culture, or date someone you meet while traveling. Venus is in her detriment in Aries, so you have to watch out for a tendency to sort of make really fast decisions that will cost you, especially if you have a lot of water placements. Let's say you have Venus in Cancer and Venus is in Aries right now. You might make a decision that is fun in the moment, but then your sensitive heart might get hurt when you don't get to see the person you fell in love with on your foreign adventure. So watch out for reckless decisions. Watch out for going for people that are exciting but unstable, choosing the chase over the conquest. And when Venus is retrograde between March 1st and April 12th, moving from your 9th into the 8th, you may need to rethink, once again, some of the choices you've made. Maybe rethink the relationship you jumped into or the project you committed to, especially if it's like a writing project or, a travel blog or something like that. Venus moving from the 9th into the 8th will encourage you to like re-edit, redo, reapply, rethink, and maybe even deal with some kind of like financial agreements as she comes back into the 8th house. For more guidance, visit anastasiadoesastrology.com. I'd be happy to analyze your natal chart, talk about your relationship or your year coming up. Solar return is a great reading to get right before your birthday. If you are a Virgo rising, Venus is entering your 8th house, and she will inspire you to negotiate, to start partnerships. Venus in the 8th is usually really good for putting your talents together with someone else and coming up with a third option, creative project that you haven't maybe, or an idea that you wouldn't have come up with on your own. And so it's a good time for partnerships, maybe negotiating loans, negotiating contracts and agreements. When Venus goes retrograde on March 1st and until April 12th, and she moves from your 8th into the 7th, you may realize that some of the initial sort of choices you made and actions you took will need to be reconsidered. Like, let's say someone brought a partnership to you and you immediately were like, yes, let's do it. But then Venus goes retrograde and maybe you realize that you don't have as much time as you thought, or the conditions of the partnerships are not as fair to you. So Venus retrograding from the 8th into the 7th will encourage you to rethink partnerships, agreements, contracts, and relationships, and have maybe uncomfortable conversations about money and fairness, and ultimately create more compassionate, more honest, more sort of long-term relationships, especially in late March and April when Venus returns to your 7th house. And watch out, Venus being in the sign of her detriment in February can bring a bit more of like rashness when it comes to romantic and other choices. Try to stay kind of grounded and patient. For more guidance, visit anastasiadoesastrology.com. Pick up my Exalted Venus candle. It highlights your 7th house of relationships and can be just the remedy you need during this cycle. For the beautiful Libra rising, Venus is entering your 7th house, and all would be good if she was not in her detriment, getting ready to station retrograde. But Venus in the 7th does bring more attention to relationships. She suggests that you are dating more, you're collaborating with other people more, you're sort of putting yourself out there, right? If you're single, more dates. If you're in a relationship, more dates, but maybe more like opportunities to go out together, right? Venus is in detriment in Aries, so gotta warn you for making reckless choices, for choosing people that are not good for you, for maybe partnerships that are more competitive, that are a little bit more unpredictable or friction producing, it is best to work on something together and like maybe compete against yourself last year instead of competing against your partner. So be aware. And then as Venus begins its retrograde on March 1st and until April 12th, moves from your 7th into the 6th, it is quite likely that some of the relationship decisions will need to be reviewed, that you may deal with an ex coming back into your life, or you may need to revisit some of the old conflicts. And as Venus moves from the 7th into the 6th, there might be some logistical changes that you need to implement to your business relationship, to your romantic relationship. It could be as, as sort of simple as you and your boss can't seem to agree, so maybe you need to start coming to the office more so you can talk to them face to face. Or you and your partner spend too much money, so you decide to cut down on going out, or like some kind of practical, tangible rethinking will need to take place. For more guidance, visit anastasiadoesastrology.com. We can talk about the transits. We can discuss your year coming up. Solar return is great to get right around your birthday. And there's also natal chart, relationship chart readings, and get my Venus in Libra candle. It's just what you need because it has Venus in Libra and you're a Libra rising. So during the retrograde, it's a great fit for you. For the beautiful Scorpio rising, Venus is entering your 6th house, and she will encourage you to create more pleasure in your everyday life. Maybe you're redecorating your home, decluttering your home, working through your garden, and you're looking in your shed, right? Maybe decluttering things. She might bring more joy from working and going out with your colleagues. You may experience more fun connecting with people you work with. Venus in the 6th is also a great time to make any doctor's appointments and get your diet and your exercise and your habits in order. When Venus stations retrograde, she will move from your 6th into 5th houses between March 1st and April 12th. And she might suggest that, some of the decisions you made when you decided to throw out all of your gardening tools maybe was wrong, and now you need to go and fetch them out of the garbage bin or something. Or there might be some health matters that you need to rethink, some habits you need to release. And because she moves from the 6th into the 5th, you might also be looking at how your health and your well-being affects your child, affects your romantic relationship. Like, what do you need to change in your health, in your life, so that you can be a better partner, a better parent, a better child, or a better creative individual, right? Because sometimes we think of love and creativity and sort of joyful things in our life as they're just supposed to be. But if something is missing in your well-being and something is not quite right, then you can't enjoy those things that normally make you happy. So having to readjust, reconsider, make some improvements to your health in your everyday life, I very much can see here. For more guidance, book a reading at anastasiadoesastrology.com and get my Venus in Taurus candle. It highlights your 7th house of relationships, bringing more ease and pleasure into your life. Exalted Venus is really good too. Both have similar effects. If you are a Sagittarius rising, Venus is entering your 5th house. So she loves being in the 5th house. She's joyful, she's sexual, creative, romantic, inspired. If you're single, she might bring a new person into your life. If you're in a relationship, you're just enjoying life together that much more. She's in her detriment, so there might be a bit of a tendency to be too independent, to be too rash, and sort of jump in bed with people that are not so good for you, or to choose people that are exciting but not stable, so watch out for that. And she will go retrograde between March 1st and April 12th, moving from your 5th into the 4th houses. And so some romantic friction, maybe a sense of losing inspiration, losing attraction, and needing to rediscover it is a possibility. Because she moves from the 5th into the 4th, maybe your pleasure is connected to the changes you need to make in your living situation. Maybe you live in town that has no places to go rock climb, and you really love rock climbing, so you may need to reconsider your living situation. Healing childhood wounds and realizing the connection between your unhealed child and how it still affects your love life is possible here. And you may deal with an ex coming back into your life and needing to sort of figure out whether they fit your life or they only stress you out. For more guidance, book a reading at anastasiadoesastrology.com. Pick up my Venus in Libra candle. The second edition was created with Sagittarius on the ascendant. It can be perfect for you as well as perfect for the Venus retrograde period. All of that and the readings are at anastasiadoesastrology.com. For the beautiful Capricorn rising, Venus is entering your 4th house. So she will inspire you to beautify your home, she may make you more nostalgic, and you decide to create like a family tree or paint the picture of your parents and yourself when based on the photo of you. She may encourage you to beautify your home and make sort of positive changes, host more get-togethers, even like romantically, you may be more drawn to people that remind you of the past. Maybe a childhood like friend comes into your life and you're like, oh, now I like you more than just a friend. Venus is in her detriment in Aries, so there might be more friction, more sort of drama in the home or with family. So be wary of that, and watch out also for like really fast decisions, because Venus will go retrograde between March 1st and April 12th. Moving from your 4th into the 3rd. And so if you've decided to add a pool to your house, Venus retrogrades and you realize that your neighborhood doesn't allow it, or there is some kind of logistical issue. Venus retrograde might also encourage you to rethink your living situation in terms of travel time to your work. Maybe, sort of create more space for your office so that you can be more free. Maybe like create like an art space. There might be changes to the home as well as changes to familial relationships and conversations you need to have in order to have more ease and peace in the family, especially like that retrograde from March 1st until April 12th, from the 4th into the 3rd. It's like, it just screams conversations with like parents, siblings, maybe needing to create some kind of like solution for an older parent going to the doctors, or a sibling dealing with an unruly young teenage child or something like that. So you may find yourself drawn into a little bit of like family dramas for the next couple of months. For more guidance, book a reading at anastasiadoesastrology.com. Pick up my Venus in Taurus candle. Falls in your 5th house, brings you pleasure, joy, and it's pretty in pink. If you are the beautiful Aquarius rising, Venus is entering your 3rd house. Here she will bring more joy to your everyday life. She will encourage you to invest into your skills, hobbies, and interests. You may take up painting again, or writing, or drawing. There will be more joy from going out in the neighborhood. Maybe you're finding new coffee shops and having a good time. You're maybe interacting with neighbors more and feeling more cheerful and playful. Overall, a pretty good transit, but you have to remember that Venus is in her detriment in Aries, and so there may be a little bit of friction with siblings, maybe a little bit more competition in the neighborhood. It's okay if it's friendly competition, but if you're sort of, if a neighbor, like neighbor's dog poops on your yard and you decide to go poop on your neighbor's yard, you like don't escalate it like dramatically. And it could be a very inspired time. However, when Venus goes retrograde from March 1st until April 12th, from your 3rd into the 2nd houses, you will be rethinking your gifts and talents, potentially wondering how you can use them in a more financially rewarding way, the most lucrative way. You may be rethinking your relationships with siblings. You may be collecting some debts that neighbors or siblings owe you. And also wondering, like, in terms of what is worth your time, what is worth your energy, what is worth your attention, and having to review some of that. For more guidance, book a reading at anastasiadasastrology.com and pick up my Venus and Taurus candle, or Venus, Exalted Venus. Both of these highlight your houses of home. This is home, family. This is money and values. So depending on what you want, one of these or both of them can be really good for you. Last but not least, the beautiful Pisces rising. Venus is entering your second house. So she will encourage you to hustle. She will encourage you to maybe, use your charm to make more money. She will encourage you to use your creative talents, your eye for beauty to make investments. You may notice that you're more drawn to buy paintings, to buy art. You may be spending more money, kind of being a little bit reckless and rash in spending. I would urge you to be careful. Venus is in her detriment in Aries, so you may sort of spend in the spur of the moment, but then realize that you can't actually afford it. So making sort of, especially when Venus goes retrograde between March 1st and April 12th, having to like reconsider some of the financial decisions is very much a possibility here. Venus in the second can also bring up a new passion or a new desire to make money more independently, start a business, start maybe like investing or something. And then when Venus goes retrograde, you may need to rethink your strategy, rethink the source, the money you have, maybe talk to financial advisors. And also, Venus moves when it retrogrades, it moves from your second into the first houses. And so a lot of it is connected to you trying to understand yourself and trying to figure out what your worth is based on and what do you need to do to build your self-worth versus like how can you translate your self-worth into more money or your gifts and talents into more money. So a lot of like important questions around identity, well-being, goals, personality, and even possibly health, like needing to spend on health, needing to invest in your well-being, all of that I see here. Highly recommend my Exalted Venus candle. It captures Venus and Pisces, falls in your first house. Extra charming, inspired, attractive. Pick it up at anastasiadasastrology.com. On there, you can also book a relationship, a year ahead, or a natal chart reading and talk to me about your life. And I can also help you pick a date for your wedding or help you figure out which city or which country are best for you to live in. Thank you for watching. Thank you for being here. I hope this reading resonated and I hope you're enjoying my content. Please subscribe if you haven't yet, and I'll see you in the next video. Enjoy your February.